Hey Frag fam, what is going on? I hope you guys are doing well today. Elliot here. Welcome back to the Fragrance Well. So we're going to do part 2 of the series I have going on right now, which is going to be certified autumn fragrance bangers. What is a certified autumn fragrance banger? It's basically a fragrance that has had its time to basically solidify itself as a fragrance that is either A, very popular in the fragrance community, or it does very well in sales. It can be one or the other, or it can be both. As I stated, this is part 2, so if you haven't seen part 1, I will link it right there above the top of the screen, unless you're watching on a medium where that link does not pop up, so I'll also put it down in the description below. And definitely go and watch that one, because just in case you think there should be a fragrance on there, on this list today that I did not mention, maybe it's on part 1. And by the way, there is going to be a part 3, possibly a part 4, because as I stated in part 1, I got a lot of fragrances that actually kind of qualify for this subject matter. So once again, for this one, we're going to do 7 fragrances, just as I did in the part 1 of this series. So that's pretty much the video. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Before we do, as always, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and you do like the content, and please hit that bell icon and enable notifications so you can be notified when I upload new videos, unless it's a short, in which case YouTube will notify you about 36 hours later. Good job, YouTube. Let's get into it. All right, to kick it off, we're going to go with one from Tom Ford, and that is going to be Ombre Leather Parfum. Tom Ford Ombre Leather Parfum. And that could also be the EDP, because these two are different, but they're relatively similar. Not the new Ode Ombre Leather, or however you say it. That A just came out, so it hadn't had time to really solidify itself, in my opinion. And also, it smells completely different from these, so I wouldn't even lump them in the same category. Yeah, so Ombre Leather DNA is basically a play on a very wearable leather, one that's not overly smoky or not overly animalic. It's relatively clean but luxurious smelling, and mixing it with florals. That is certainly the case with this one. Matter of fact, this is a lot softer on the nose, if you will, than the EDP version, so it's kind of like pick your poison. Do you want an aggressive ombre leather or a smoother ombre leather? Good amount of iris in this version of ombre leather as well. Now, I will say this much, I don't know if the Parfum is as popular as the EDP, but as I stated, they are relatively similar. Have their differences, but it's kind of like you're getting the same DNA. So that's why I say either or can work. But I do think the older Parfum is actually probably a better one in sales, and also probably better in the community, simply because really it's cheaper. That's just kind of the best way I can sum it up. Whether people like the DNA better or not, I don't really know. But the Parfum is a little, Tom Ford is expensive as it is, and it's more expensive than the EDP. So that's just something to keep in mind. But overall, the Ombre Leather DNA is a certified fragrance banger DNA. I did forget to mention that I am going to tier these fragrances off from A, B, or C, just as I did in part 1. And for this one here is definitely A tier in terms of giving you a leather DNA that is accessible. Leather is not really a super popular note for the masses, if you will. They may enjoy it, but it's not something they're just running to. But Ombre Leather is one of those fragrances that kind of broke through that barrier. So that's why I'm going to put this one in A tier. And frankly, I am definitely a fan of the Ombre Leather DNA. So once again, from Tom Ford, this is Ombre Leather Parfum in particular. All right, moving on, we got another leather fragrance, kind of, sort of, coming from Memo Paris. This is going to be African Leather. Memo Paris African Leather. Now, I would say probably outside of the community, to the masses at least, maybe not overall that popular, but inside the community, this one is a darling for sure. And it's also going to be a darling for anyone who is a fan of Memo Paris, community person or not. Fragcom, that is. Now, this one, out of a long line of leather fragrances that they're still adding to, I forget the official name. Actually, isn't it on here? Yeah, Queer Nomads, I guess that's how you say it. This one is actually probably one of the most reserved leather fragrances out of the entire line. This one makes use of a lot of spice, particularly cardamom forward, and I think there may be cinnamon in this. And there's also a lot of rose in this as well. You can pick up the leather, but it's definitely more so in the background. It's kind of a It's got a little bit of a funk to it. I think there's saffron in this as well. Very luxurious, very opulent smelling. I mean, as soon as you get your nose on it, you think like, yeah, this is a fragrance that would work great for that autumn season, and it absolutely does. And as I already stated, it's very popular within the community, so there's no denying that it meets that criteria. Where would I tier this off? This is a fragrance I actually discovered long before I even got into collecting, and it captivated me then, even if I didn't really understand what I was smelling. This is definitely A tier. Matter of fact, Memo Paris in general puts out some amazing quality scents. They may not necessarily put out the kind of stuff that, you know, just makes the masses go crazy. They're a little bit artistic in what they do, but one thing you cannot deny about their fragrances is the quality is definitely there. This is an A tier scent in my opinion for the autumn season, and a guaranteed banger for the season as well. So once again, from Memo Paris, we have got African Leather. All right, next one is coming from The Harmonist. That's gonna be Hypnotizing Fire. The Harmonist Hypnotizing Fire. Why is my focus messing up? All right, anyway, yeah, this one here has actually been out for a very long time. Now, I don't know how long it's been available in the States, but this is one of those fragrances that it kind of took its time to, you know, grow into the popular fragrance that it is. I mean, it's very popular in the community now because more people have simply had a chance to get their nose on it. Credit to Bowtie, the fragrance guy, for me personally, because he's the first one I heard talk about this scent. And luckily, my local Neiman's did get the brand in, so I was able to check it out at some point. I actually got to buy it from an official event that they were hosting for the house, so I got to discover the rest of the house and kind of learn what the house is all about. It was really an enjoyable experience. But yeah, this fragrance here is more about spices and, you know, kind of a soft rose and like benzoin and vanilla. Spicy and sweet, but in a way that the quality is like right there at the top of the tier as far as I'm concerned. The fragrance is strong. You know, a lot of people like their fragrances to push in the autumn season. This fragrance will give you that. It has the sex appeal to it. It has the artistic nature to it as well. So you're kind of pleasing both sides. I'm not really going to go into that in this particular video. I've done it enough in the past, but this fragrance here, absolutely A tier because the quality is undeniable. Now, it is expensive, and luckily you can now find these fragrances at a discounted rate, but it's still, you know, kind of up there in price. But and by the way, this is the Parfum. I don't have the Eau de Parfum. Matter of fact, I saw somewhere that the Eau de Parfum is actually discontinued. So that would be one of the reasons why it's a lot more affordable, because it's it obviously was not as popular, and also it's discontinued and no one's like rushing to get it. Most people want the Parfum version. So I can't speak to that, but all I can say is, yeah, Hypnotizing Fire is an amazing fragrance DNA, perfect for the autumn season. A tier for sure. Guaranteed fragrance banger. It has had its time to earn that right. So once again, from The Harmonist, we've got Hypnotizing Fire. All right, next one is going to be coming from Givenchy, and that's going to be Gentleman Reserve Privee. Givenchy Gentleman Eau de Parfum Reserve Privee. That's the full name, but we'll just call it Reserve Privee. So this fragrance, when it was released, and you know, since it's kind of had its time for people to discover it and get used to it, etc., very popular release out of the Gentleman line. You know, the Gentleman line in general is very, very popular in the community. It's never really like a top seller per se, but it definitely sales. The fragrances sell from the line. And this one kind of had everybody in the community going crazy because it introduced boozy notes and a little more chestnut gourmand kind of take, if you will, to the Gentleman line centered around the iris. You got the iris in here, you got the boozy nature of it, you got kind of a roasted nuttiness that adds to that boozy character, that gourmand characteristic of this fragrance, and then you've got the typical kind of clean, woody base that is synonymous with many of the Gentleman fragrances. I'm a big fan of this line kind of up until the Society point. I don't hate those Society fragrances, but I think they just, you know, chose to go in a different direction that I'm not really a fan of. And to be honest, the fragrance kind of fell off for me as soon as I got it. It took me a while to get this, so I'm gonna put this at B tier simply because for me personally, I don't know, I guess I kind of got over it once I finally had it, because I did have a large sample of it, and I rarely wear this now. I don't know why. I guess I just kind of got some other stuff in my collection that intrigued me a lot more. And to be fair, I would rank a lot of fragrances over this one. But point being is this fragrance has earned its stripes as a certified autumn fragrance banger. It is an amazing fragrance. It is a high ranking one for a lot of people, and I don't disagree with them. but I'm still gonna put it at B tier just for myself personally. So once again from Givenchy, this is Gentleman Reserve Privee. All right, guys, next one is gonna be coming from By Kilian, and this is Angel Share. By Kilian, Angel Share. So Angel Share is popular within the community as well as to just the general public. It's a very well selling fragrance, huge success from a successful fragrance line, to be honest. Angel Share is one that definitely took the community by storm when it first came out. I think this was a 2020 release, if I'm not mistaken. And look, you know, it's not something that really kind of broke any fragrance barriers. It's just a fragrance that smells great, that was done very, very well. I was definitely a big fan of it. I don't wear it as much now, but you know what, when I do pull it out, I still enjoy it. Super gourmand fragrance, smoky nuttiness, caramel, vanillic kind of notes. Not really an apple cinnamon, but definitely heavy on the cinnamon style of spices, even though there is some other characteristics in here. And it's a little bit ambery. It's got, doesn't have too much of a boozy touch, but I would say you can kind of think of like holiday-based drinks when you smell this fragrance. I tend to think of eggnog a little bit when I smell this fragrance. I don't smell eggnog, I just think of it. But yeah, this fragrance, super popular, obviously a fan favorite of a lot of people. And I would say this one here is going to be A tier because I do think, while I do think this is not the best thing by far that By Kilian has put out in terms of their very extensive catalog, I do think it is definitely done to the standard of a Kilian fragrance, and the quality is here without question in my opinion, and you definitely cannot denounce the success of this fragrance. And again, like I said, I may not wear it all the time, but I do enjoy it when I do wear it. So once again from By Kilian, we have got Angel's Share. All right, guys, next one is coming from Emporio Armani, or just Armani. It's gonna be Stronger With You, Absolutely. Emporio Armani, Stronger With You, Absolutely. Quick side note before I start talking about this fragrance. Stronger With You line is now officially being sold in the United States. Now, I can't say where everywhere. The place I saw it happened to be a Dillard's in Jacksonville, which is not even my area, so I don't even know if it's here in my area. But in Jacksonville at the Dillard's there, which they have one of the better Dillard's in terms of a fragrance department that I've ever seen anywhere I've ever been. They had Stronger With You, the original, and Stronger With You Intensely there. So I don't know how many other fragrances they're gonna bring to the States, but that does mean officially Stronger With You is finally officially being sold in the States, which actually should make the availability go up in terms of discounters and maybe even bring the price down. I think. I could be wrong about that, but to me, that would suggest that, you know, some of the prices for Stronger With You is going to come down. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. That's just kind of an FYI, just kind of an announcement for you guys if you didn't already know. Now, with Absolutely, let's just say I got my nose on Intensely finally. I'd never smelled it, and I'm glad I bought this one. Blind bought this one. The Stronger With You line kind of centered around chestnut, if you will, and then just kind of has a play on it with some of the variations of the fragrance depending, although Intensely kind of took it away. So you got some gourmand facets to it. It's very vanillic in nature, a little bit ambery. This one in particular, slight boozy touch. Definitely has the roasted chestnut. Marron Glace is the note given, which is actually like a candied roasted chestnut, glazed chestnut, if you will. Got fresher aspects to it, a little bit of lavender in this. Really good, well done scent. I get some chocolatey notes from this one in particular as well. I like this one over Intensely. Intensely is just a little bit too sweet. But the main reason I'm actually showcasing this fragrance is really just to talk about the Stronger With You line. Now, obviously sales overseas, Stronger With You is solidified. We'll see how it does here in the States. I think it's gonna do well. They wouldn't bring it here if they didn't think it would. And obviously, super popular in the community, the Stronger With You line overall. So not just this one. I know this is a favorite of many. Some people like other ones in the line, but the Stronger With You line has definitely solidified itself in terms of being a very popular fragrance that works well for the autumn season. So it is a guaranteed autumn banger. And you know what? I'm gonna put this one at A tier for one reason in particular. May not be my favorite thing to wear, but I do enjoy wearing this one in particular. And also, even after smelling Intensely, knowing that so many fragrance brands kind of copied what they did and put out their own version of it, I still liked that one better than the other versions I've smelled, even though it's not my favorite style of fragrance. So I'm gonna put it at A tier just because of that, because you just gotta respect something that does something that well. And also, these fragrances are good quality. I don't have a problem with that. So once again, from Emporio Armani, this is Stronger With You, Absolutely. All right, guys, final one for this version of this series is going to be from Parfums de Marly, and it's going to be Layton. Parfums de Marly, Layton. Now, I know I don't have to convince anybody, particularly in the community who's been here for a while, that Layton is a certified autumn fragrance banger. It's one of the most popular ones in the community easily. It absolutely does very well in sales from Parfums de Marly. I'm sure it is still their best-selling fragrance. And this one is kind of their crown jewel, if you will. This fragrance here, you know it, it's kind of playing on the fresh and spicy and sweet combination that is very, very popular, and it does do it very, very well. Got a little bit of an appley like accord. There is this kind of Vicks Vapor Rub thing there that definitely turns some people off. I smell it, but it doesn't really bother me. Spicy notes here. It is definitely sweet but balanced. It's not gonna blow your head off in terms of sweetness. Does have some slightly aromatic, fresh, clean kind of characteristics to it, but it all comes together to create this DNA that is Parfums de Marly Layton. Perfect for a night out. I would wear this during the day. I have done it, and it definitely just kind of falls right into that autumn season, you know, perfect wear, if you will, for particularly for evenings. That's where I think it is used the best. Now, I know I'm not alone in this, but there are going to be people who disagree. I'm going to put this at B tier for one reason only. When I first, got my nose on it, first was in the community, I was absolutely heads over heels over this scent. My nose has grown quite a bit in terms of what it has experienced and what I kind of get out of fragrances up to this point, and this just does not captivate me anymore like it used to. But yeah, it's a B tier scent for me for that reason alone, and I know some people are actually going to agree with me. Some people might even put this at C tier because it definitely has its haters, and others are going to put it at A tier because this is still a favorite of theirs. I'm not saying anybody's right or wrong. B tier is just where I'm going to place it because this fragrance just does not do it for me like it did when I first got it, but it's still an amazing fragrance that is a good choice for the autumn season, and you cannot deny its success. So once again, from Parfums de Marly, this is going to be Layton. Alright guys, that is going to do it for part 2 of the Guaranteed Autumn Fragrance Bangers series. Let me know what you guys think of these fragrances down in the comments below, and of course feel free to share what some of your favorites are. Maybe they were in the last video, maybe they will be in a future video. There will definitely be a part 3. I already have a list put together for it, and there may be a part 4. We will see. So thanks again for watching all the way to the end. I really do appreciate you guys. Please remember to be well and smell well, and I will see you in the next episode of The Fragrance Well. Have a good one.